If you dream of fluid body milks, ultralight emulsions, and fast-absorbing lotions, this video is for you. Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and in today's video, I'm going to teach you 3 strategies for creating ultralight, fast-absorbing emulsions. You can use these strategies alone or combine them to create the formulation of your dreams. Strategy number 1 is a great approach if you really like the viscosity of your lotion, but you just wish it was a bit lighter. Strategy number 2 is a bit more drastic and it will lighten up your lotion and decrease viscosity. And strategy number 3 is my favorite. It will help you really dramatically reduce the viscosity of your emulsions and lighten them up so you can create truly weightless skincare products. I'll also be teaching you how to keep your fluid emulsions stable, as thin emulsions are much more prone to separation than thicker ones. This video is part of my free ongoing series all about natural lotion formulation. Make sure you've watched at least the first video in this series, as it teaches the basic lotion formulation that we're going to be riffing on today. I've created a playlist of the series here, so make sure you save that playlist so you don't miss an episode and you can find them all again really easily. Every video in this series also has a completely free partner blog post linked in the description box below the video, so make sure you're checking out the blog post as well as the video, because the blog posts contain a lot more information, helpful links, just heaps of great stuff, totally free. Make sure you check it out so you're learning as much as possible. We'll start with strategy number 1, which is the easiest strategy. In this strategy, all you're going to do is swap out the emollients in your formulation for a lighter, faster absorbing emollient. This strategy will lighten up the emulsion, but it's not going to meaningfully change the viscosity if you are swapping a liquid for a liquid. If you're swapping a butter, like say there's lots of shea butter in your lotion, for a liquid, that will decrease the viscosity a wee bit. In our base formulation, the sole carrier oil is medium chain triglycerides, which is already quite a lightweight liquid oil. If your key emollient was something like shea butter, swapping that for medium chain triglycerides would make that formulation lighter. However, because we are starting with something that's already quite light, we're going to go even lighter, and we're going to use an ultralight plant-based ester. There are lots of great natural options like isoamyl, Neossance hemisqualane, and cocoa caprylate. I'll be using isoamyl cocoate today because I bought a big bottle of it from New Directions Aromatics, but any lightweight natural ester will do. There are lots of them out there, so browse your suppliers' websites to see what you can get. You could also use an ultra lightweight liquid oil. Make sure you read the partner blog post for some suggestions. Once you've made that swap, the making process is exactly the same. Make sure you're checking out the very first video from this series for full detailed instructions. Strategy number 2 will lighten up your emulsions and make them thinner. This strategy calls for the reduction or removal of more potent thickening ingredients. If this formulation contained standalone fatty thickeners like cetyl alcohol, you could swap out the cetyl alcohol for an ultra lightweight liquid emollient, and that would make the final product a bit thinner and a bit lighter. Now, this formulation doesn't contain any standalone fatty thickeners, but our emulsifier, Ritamulse SCG, does contain fatty thickeners that boost viscosity and add a bit of richness. Since the base formulation uses Ritamulse SCG at the higher end of the recommended range, what we can do is we can lower the amount of Ritamulse SCG to the lower end of the recommended range, and that will reduce the viscosity of the emulsion and lighten it up. To learn more about how much emulsifier to use in your formulations, please check out part 5 of this series. To make this change, we'll reduce the Ritamulse SCG from 5% to 3%, increasing the distilled water to keep the formulation adding up to 100%. Now, there's something that you need to understand about thinner emulsions. They are a lot more prone to separating than thicker emulsions. Once we get into straight up fluid territory, we usually need to include a wee bit of gum. 0.2% is generally enough, though this varies with the precise gum you're using, and this will keep things from splitting. I'll be using 0.2% of soft xanthan gum in this formulation. I like to include it in the heated oil phase as it can't clump there and it'll activate beautifully once we combine the phases. With these modifications done, proceed lotion making as usual. I find high shear mixing to be more important with thinner emulsions than thicker ones. While you can often hand stir a thicker emulsion, a thinner one tends to need the oomph of a high-powered, high-shear mixer to work. I will often blend a thinner emulsion for much longer than I'd blend a thicker one as well, since it's unable to suspend air bubbles the same way a thicker emulsion can. And strategy number 3 is our most potent, powerful strategy. It will really move the needle when you are looking to adjust the viscosity and richness of your formulations. This one is my favorite. To dramatically lighten your lotions, reduce the size of the oil phase. In the sample formulation I'm sharing today, I'm keeping the ultra lightweight ester and the lower emulsifier usage to create a final product that is practically weightless. I'm reducing the emollient from 15% to 10% and then reducing the Ritamulse SCG proportionately. I also bumped the soft xanthan gum up from 0.2 to 0.3%, but I think 0.2% would probably still be fine. Adjust the percentage of distilled water to keep the formulation adding up to 100% and carry on your merry emulsifying way. When it comes to packaging really thin emulsions, you've got a few options. If you want a pump bottle, you're going to want to use a treatment pump bottle rather than a traditional lotion pump bottle. That traditional bottle will really spew out a lot of product, while the treatment pump bottle will dispense it much more sparingly. If an emulsion is very thin, a bottle fitted with an eyedropper cap could work. You could also use a bottle fitted with an orifice reducer or a turret cap, and that way you can just turn the bottle upside down and shake out a few drops of your emulsion. I've seen this approach in a few Korean beauty products and I really like it. Spray bottles can work, but it is challenging to create an emulsion that is both stable and thin enough to mist out of a spray bottle. The smallest amount of viscosity in a formulation can mean that it comes out of the spray bottle in just like a jet, like a water gun, rather than in a lovely mist, and you might not want that, especially if you're thinking you're gonna apply it to your face. Whatever you use, I recommend choosing something clear if it's an untested formulation so you can keep a close eye on it for separation. So we've just made 3 different lightweight emulsions, but here's one more. This emulsion has an oil phase of just 6%. It is unbelievably lightweight, but uses just a wee bit of fatty thickener to give it a body boost. This formulation is a patron exclusive. I've shared it as a post for my $5 and up patrons, so please consider becoming a patron if you'd like to check it out. The link to my Patreon is in the description box below this video. And that is how to make ultralight, fast absorbing emulsions. But honestly, none of this means much if you don't understand how incredibly important the size of your oil phase is. So you should watch this video next so you can be certain you know how to calculate and adjust the size of your oil phase and create the emulsions of your dreams.